Hello everyone and welcome to I'll Be Sewing. My name is Gina and today we're going to be learning to make this purse here. I had put some pictures on my Facebook and a lot of people seem interested to know how to make it. The fabrics that I've used, I like using a lot of panels and I like to cutting them down, and this is another example of using a panel and use some of the squares to create a bag. This bag here, the size is I have the length of my bag is about 14 inches. The height is about 10 inches and the width, the bottom here, is about 6 inches. So at least gives you an idea how big the bag is. A really nice purse. I think this one will be one of the ones I'll be using for myself because I really like it. And the inside is done like that. So I have the accents, all the fabric as an accent. It's not a hard, I didn't add any pockets in here, but you can definitely add pockets. I just have these two outside, and the inside here, I think for me eventually what I'm going to do is create an organizer and put it in there so I can change bags when I need to. So I think you guys will like this project. I also will announce at some point through the video the winner of the Sewers Club box. So as you guys know, that the last video that I posted was based on Sewers Club, and they are a subscription box that you can subscribe every month and get a project in the box for you to sew. So you guys can always, we'll put on the detail a link if you guys are interested. Check it out. Go right ahead and check it out. We will announcing the winner of the box from last video also. Okay, so I'm gonna get started and give you some measurements for all the stuff that we need to create this bag here. Okay, so I'm gonna be using a different panel. Again, the materials that I used here, the block, it was from Northcott. It's just a basic block that has some dots, and this was a panel from Quilting Treasures, and also this fabric is from Quilting Treasures, and the inside also, it's Quilting Treasures. The next one that I'm using, it's a basic block that I'm using for my main, and then this is going to be my inside, and all these fabrics are also from Quilting Treasures. So the measurements, let's get started about measurements. So the outside of my bag, I'm going to need to cut. So you need, what I use here, I use 3 fabrics. The 3 fabrics that I use is a block for my outside, my lining that I used here. I've used this one here for my accent for straps and the accents that I'll be using around the zipper and stuff. And what I also used was a panel. I actually cut a panel up, and I cut these squares out of a panel to use as my pockets. But you can even use the same fabric that you have on the inside, or whatever you decide to do. You can use whatever you want. So let's just now give you measurements. Each 3 of these fabrics, except for the panel, I cut about, from the bolt, I cut about 24 inches of fabric. So I was 24 inches of black, 24 inches of this one, and 24 inches of this one. And then from that, I cut all my pieces. So the only extra fabric that I had was the panel for the outside pockets. But again, you would still have had from the inside fabric, you would have had enough fabric to put the pockets on the inside if you chose to. Okay, so let's get started with measurements. So the outside, from the 24 inches that you cut from the bolt, you're going to cut 2 pieces in what I have here. So I have 24 by 15, 2 pieces. And what I did on mine, I use our foam. It's a fusible one, and I fused to my outside fabric, and I went ahead and quilted. So I drew lines and I quilted. So the bag can be a standing up bag, just like this one here. Like you see, it really stands out nicely. Then for my lining, I cut again 2 pieces, the same thing. I cut 2 pieces of 15 by 24. So 15 height, so I have 2 pieces here, by 24. Then from this fabric here, I cut from the bowl, I cut from the 24 inches, I cut 3 strips at 5 inches wide. That's for my straps. And what I did, this is 5 inches by, I use 52 inches long. But if you want your straps to be longer, you can definitely go longer, or if you want them a little shorter, you can also go a little shorter. But that's what I did. I cut mine here are so I cut 3 strips, and 1.5 I joined them, so I had to join them together to cut 2 strips of 5 inches by 52 length. So this is 52. So I have my 2 straps here, and I don't want this just to be fabric, because then it would be very floppy. So I would want something that would be slightly comfortable. So what I did is, from the R2 foam, I cut 2 strips of foam of 1 inch strip, and I fused here to the middle of my strap. Alright, so I fused it here to the middle. Then I'm going to close and close, and I'm ready to sew it. So I have my 2 strips here ready to go. That has the foam already inside, fused right in the middle, and I'm going to go ahead and fuse that. The only difference that I used on these straps, as you see here, I have my strap here. I didn't want my foam to go down here, okay, because I already have foam here, I already have fabric here from the pockets. This would be very thick to sew here. So why only add the foam from this part, from here to here, so the part that's going to be used around your shoulders. So I only add the foam from there to there, so I don't go all the way to the end of my strip. So as 52, what I did is I cut 11 inches without foam, about 11 inches. I calculated more or less. Then I put my foam, and on the other side I also left the 11 inches out. So this is just staying right in the middle, so I'm not going to be sewing this around the bottom of my bag or around the pocket, because I don't need all that bulk there. So now I'm gonna put these to the side. They're ready to sew, and I'm gonna give you the measurements for the pockets. So the pockets, I cut a panel. I cut 2 squares of 8 by 8. This is 8 by 8. And I also cut for lining another 2 pieces 8 by 8. That's for my lining. And I'm also gonna fuse fusible fleece to the outside, this part here of my pocket. So I'm gonna use a little bit, or you can use a SF101. You can use a different interfacing to the pocket, but I suggest you interface the pocket so it stays a little nicer. Doesn't matter which interfacing, you can use whatever you prefer. I'm going to use fusible fleece, but you can use definitely SF101 will also work, or any other one that you prefer. That's fine, as long as you don't make it too thick, because you have to sew this to this part here that already has foam. All right, and that's your pocket. And also for the pocket, we're going to need the accent pieces. As you see here, I have an accent here, an accent here in the bottom. So I cut little pieces from this fabric here. I cut 1 for the top, 1 for the bottom, and the measurement of this would be 8, or you can go 8.5 and then trim it to 8 after it's sewed by, and the width of this is 1 and 1 3/4, 1 inch and 3/4 that I cut here. So it's just 1/4 less than 2 inches, okay? So I cut 4 pieces of this for my pockets. I also, because as you see here, this bag also has the accent around the zipper. The zipper is enclosed. As you see, it's enclosed in there. I also cut 2 strips, the same measurement as this, 1 3/4 inches of width, to go around my zipper. And I'm going to show you how to do that, to enclose the zipper to look like that. So, and I cut 2 strips and I put it to the side. I also cut 2 strips of 2.5 by the length of my fabric, and these 2 strips I will be using to do my finishing on the inside. As you see, I have finishing in here and in here, so I use those strips to finish this part here. Then you're also going to need a zipper. If you were using a standard zipper, buy at least a 30-inch and then you'll cut it down, because you're going to need to open to do top stitching and stuff like that. So it's always better to have a slightly longer. I'm using zippers by the yard, so I cut about 25.5 inches. It should do for me. And I think for materials, that's it. So we're going to now start sewing. Okay, so I'm going to put everything to the side, and where we're going to start with the pockets. So I'm going to, my lining to the side, my pieces to the side, and we're just going to start right now with the pockets. First, you're going to fuse your interface to your outside fabric, and I'm going to go do that in a minute. I didn't cut mine yet, but I will do it in a minute. So I have my 2 pockets here. After you have your interfacing, what I want you to do is get one of these little pieces of fabric. You're going to put it there on top of it, and you're going to sew it across. So one for there, and also one for the bottom, and one for the bottom. So you're going to go ahead and sew those in place. I'll show you in a minute. So you're going to sew your 2 little strips of 1 3/4 by 8 inches to the top, and I'm using 1/2 inch seam allowance from there to there, because I want this to fold like this to give me a nice accent, right? So, and then what I'm going to do, you see I sew 1 to the top, 1 to the bottom, so I have something like this. And what I want you to do, I want you to get your lining, and then you're going to go ahead, this lining piece here, if it's directional, pay attention to the direction of the fabric. In my case, is not. The picture is going all over the place. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to sew this to this piece here like that. So you're going to put right side with right side, and you're going to go ahead and sew this here again with a 1/2 seam allowance. So you're going to sew this across like that. So when you sew that, let me put a couple pins. You're going to end up with something like this. This one I already sewed it, so, and I will be sewing that one. So when I turn this, I have something like this. So I'm going to turn this like this, and I'm going to bring this up. But see, when I fold this, I don't want to fold mine down like this. I don't want this to be folded down. I want this to be up, and my fabric should be covering that. So because I want this to be thick here. Right? So what I'm going to go ahead and fold this like this now, and bring my fabric all the way down like that. And I'm going to go ahead here and check if my lining is bigger than my front piece, because I don't want it to be any bigger. So here I have maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch, slightly, almost 1/4 of the lining that looks like it's poking through a little bit from the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm actually going to trim that off. So if you have more, trim it off. Mine is very, very small. It's just this, like tiny little bit. So after I've done that, what I'm going to do, I have this like this. So I'm going to go ahead again and do this. Like that, and sew it again as 1/4 inch. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do my pockets. I'll show you when it's done. So I sewed those pieces like that. You see, it looks like this. And I have my other one here. I'm going to turn it to the other side. Okay, so now what you're going to do, like I showed you, this is going to fold down like this to make the accent. And also this bottom here also will fold like that. You're gonna go ahead and press it, and we're gonna do a top stitch just to the top here. Okay, the bottom we're not gonna do a top stitch because we're gonna sew this to the bag. All right, and let me have a look at this one. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and press it and do my top stitch there. I'm gonna make sure all my fabrics are even. If they're slightly off, you can definitely trim a little bit. I have my lining here is slightly off. I think on the back would look like something like this. Okay, and our pockets are done. So I'm gonna go ahead and do my top stitch, finish my straps, and then we're gonna attach the straps to our bag before we add the zipper. Okay? So I top stitch my pockets, and I went ahead and sew my straps. As you see, I didn't sew my straps all the way to the end. I left the part that's going to go over the pockets open. I didn't sew them down yet. I just sew where I had the foam, the part where I touched the foam. Need to trim these threads. And because the other part, you can sew it, you can completely finish, but then you're going to end up with 2 seams by the time you attach this to the bag. And I prefer just to have one. So that's why I did it this way. I just kind of calculated more or less what I needed to do there. I just want to make sure before I go ahead, and I want to make sure that my straps are exactly the same size. And let me, because I don't want one bigger than the other, definitely not. I think this one has about 1/4 of an inch on there. So now they're the same, and I have my 2 pockets here. So I'm gonna go ahead, let me grab my, one is gonna be the front, one is gonna be the back. So I'm just gonna show you how to do one, then the back is gonna have to be done the same. So what I need to find is the middle here of my piece. So I knew this was 24 inches, so I would need about 12 inches. You can find the middle, but I think I trimmed mine a little bit, but let's see. You can go ahead and go like this, find your middle. At least you know for sure this is your middle. I'm gonna go ahead and trim a little bit here. And I'm gonna do the same here to my bottom. I'm gonna find my middle. Okay. So I have there and there, so I can draw a line. I'm gonna use the chalk to draw a line. So this is my middle here. Clip and clip. So this is my middle. So I need to go 2 inches from the top. About 2 inches from the top. Okay, you know what? Because we hadn't attached the zipper yet, instead of doing 2 inches, we're going to do 2.5. Sorry about that. It's just my measurements that I had there was with after I had touched the zipper, but I decided that I would show you how to do this this part here before we attach the zipper, because it will be easier if you're not using a zipper by the yard. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and get our pocket and also find the middle. So this is my middle here, put a pin, and my middle here. Okay, then you're gonna go ahead and where the 2 inches are is you're gonna put that there, and you're gonna secure the pocket in place And you can always double check your measurements from the bottom. So what you have on the bottom, make sure your pocket is straight. Also, you can also go here and see if you have the right measurement. So I think my pocket needs to move slightly over. Alright, so let's see what we have here. About 8 inches. Tiny, tiny little bit. Let's see, 8 and 8. So I'm good now. So you can definitely also do that. Measure, make sure you're even. And you can go ahead and secure this pocket in place. So you can do a little seam here, across here, and up here before we attach the strap. I always do that because then when I do the strap, it's slightly easier. So I'm gonna go ahead here and put that there. Then I'm gonna grab my strap. After that's secure in place here, here, and here, I'm gonna get my strap and I'm gonna go ahead and go about a ½ inch in on top of my fabric here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it there. And I'm doing the outside, the part that's open to the outside and not to the inside. I'm gonna go like that. And I'm gonna bring this all the way to the bottom of my fabric here, see? And I'm gonna go ahead and attach it there. So put some pins to secure it. But of course you're gonna secure that I'm just gonna show it here, and then I'm gonna, of course, on mine, I'm gonna go secure it at all. And then you're gonna go here. You're gonna sew past this part here. You're gonna go up a little bit and go across. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna sew across, down, across, and up, or whatever. You know, you have to make sure you sew this here. So I would be doing a line here, right beside here, this part here. Sew here, and then go down and up and secure that in place. And you see it will meet the seam that I already sewed across there. So make sure your strap is not twisted. Okay, and then you're gonna do the same thing here. So you're gonna bring it here to the bottom. Gonna put about a ½ inch on top of that. I'm gonna bring it all the way to the bottom. Secure it in place. And you're gonna go ahead and sew that like that. Just make sure your strap is straight like that. Okay, you're gonna do that to that part, and you're also gonna do the same thing that you did there to this part here. So you're gonna do your pocket there and your strap, and you're gonna sew them on. Okay, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna bring it to the next stage where we attach the zipper. So I finished sewing the straps and the pockets to my front and back, and now we're gonna do the zipper. So you're gonna get your zipper. And you're gonna get your 2 strips that I told you to cut of 24 inches by 1 3/4 wide, 1 3/4, and so you're gonna cut it into 24 inches, about there. Even if it's slightly bigger, it's not a big deal. We can trim it later. And we're gonna need 2 of those, 1 for each side of the zipper. So I'm gonna just trim mine here to the size that I need. All right, so now what we're gonna do with this, we're gonna get 1 piece of this and we're gonna sew to the zipper. You're gonna go ahead, you can leave a little bit of the zipper to each side, and you're gonna attach this to the zipper. All right, so just like that. So if you see my strip here, let me see so I don't get you confused. I'm gonna get my zipper, the side that opens. I'm gonna put a side down, and I'm gonna sew to the zipper there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I sewed the piece of fabric, that little strip of fabric, to the zipper, just like that. And now what I want to do, I want to bring this here, and I want to sew this, so right side of my fabric down, and I'm going to go ahead and, if you cut the strip exactly to the size of your piece, you're going to go ahead and pin it, or you can use these clips. And I'm using a zipper foot in this case here to attach my zipper. So I have about a half an inch seam allowance. And you're gonna go ahead and sew this on. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so I attached my strip to the zipper first with 1/4 inch. I use a zipper foot, so that would be about 1/4 inch in. And then to the front of my bag, I use a half an inch seam allowance. All right, so if I measure here, I have right a half an inch seam allowance there. And I need that half a seam allowance to fold. So then I'm gonna get my lining. So you end up with something like that. So the zipper is not attached to your outside fabric, it's only attached to the strip. So now you're gonna go ahead and, you see you have this like this and like that, the zipper here. And now our lining, we're not gonna attach our lining to this part, this foam here. We're gonna attach our lining to the zipper here, this part of the zipper. So we're gonna ignore that part and this part of the zipper here, and then we're gonna go ahead and attach our lining to this zipper here. Okay, so when we turn this, let me put a couple of clips and show you. So I'm sewing my lining right sides to right sides here. So I would end up having the zipper right in between here like that, if it makes sense. Okay, like so I'm gonna go ahead and put this here just to show you. I'm gonna put a couple more clips. Alright, so when I turn this, when this is sewed in, what I end up having is this zipper like this and this part like that. Okay, does that make sense? So the zipper is in here. As we were doing a makeup bag, the only difference is we have a strip in here in between. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and attach that, and I'll show you your next step. So I sew my lining to the zipper. And so as you see, I have something like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold. You see, this is the part that I had that's a half an inch or so. So this is going to fold over to keep that kind of thickness in like that. You see that? So I'm going to fold that like that. So to bring this part folded right to the zipper like that. And then the lining will come down like this. You see that? So it's folding there, the lining is back there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put pins on it. Okay, let me just grab my pins. So I want to keep folding this fabric down to bring this here to the zipper. All right, so lining back And we're gonna keep folding this part here just to kind of cover slightly that zipper. You see that? You don't want it to go completely over the zipper, because if it does, that means when you do the other side, they will overlap and it's not going to look right. You want it just to go kind of touching, let's see, about halfway of the zipper, like that. So you're going to do that all the way to the end. Okay, so that stays like that, just touching the halfway of the zipper. So I fold that part in like that. You see that? It's almost like I'm folding this back. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead now and do a top stitch. Make sure your lining is even. You're gonna go ahead and do a top stitch here. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So you're going to get your strip. You're going to get your other strip. And we're going to go ahead and attach it to the zipper. Alright, you're going to attach that to the zipper here. And then we're going to attach our main fabric. So after you attach this to here, to the zipper, you're going to attach our main fabric to the strip. Let's see if you can see, just in case you didn't see. So strip, right side down on top of the zipper. Sew that across, get your main fabric, sew to the strip. The only thing you have to always make sure it's even with this one here, so whenever you sew it, you make sure they match here. And you're gonna go ahead and touch that to the strip again after the strip is sewed to the zipper. Then by the time you do that, let me put a couple clips so you can see what it looks like, because I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So it would end up like that. And then we'll attach our lining after. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that part. Okay, so I attach the zipper to the other side of the strip, and I attach the outside or the back of the bag, front or back of the bag to the other side of the strip. So you end up with something like this. There's the zipper and there's the bag. So now if I turn it to the right side, ends up something like this. Okay, so we're going to be turning this again like that. You see? So they go, by the time I turn this, so they get like this. Okay, but first now we need to attach the other lining. Oops, sorry. Just hit the camera. So I'm going to get my other lining, and I'm going to go ahead and sew the lining not to my front end strip, but to the zipper and the strip. So I'm going to put right sides together over here, and I'm going to go ahead and sew it. And what I want to make sure that's here, it's even. Okay, so I want to make sure this is even. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my zipper. And I'll show you when it's done. So I attach my lining, and I also end up folding the other side the same that we did to this side here, to the front. We did exactly the same thing, so our zipper is enclosed in there. I already put my zipper pulls in, but if you were using a regular zipper, you can close it and leave it more towards one end. Now the only thing I want you to do is making sure that you have the same distance from here to here, and to there. Let's have a look. If not, you would wanna, let's see, we have 7, 7, 7, 7. And then what you want to do, you want to clean. If you have any extra fabric that you need to trim, I'm going to go ahead and fix everything there. Make sure I have, let me have a look here on this side, making sure I have my fabric here. And I can go ahead and trim whatever it's not even. Just, you don't want to cut because you want to make sure everything is even. Enough fabric there. All right. And then after you cut everything, just make sure everything is right. Okay. So now you're going to go ahead, clean all your, anything that you have threads around, trim that all up. And what I want you to do is we're going to close the bag, the bottom. So you're going to go like that, match your straps, match the straps, and you're going to sew that across. Okay. You're going to go here. Oops. You're also going to close the lining, the same thing. All right? Close the lining and close the end. And I'll show you in a minute. So I sew my bottoms. Now I need to put this bottom covering the black one, just like this. Okay. So her bottoms, we're going to straighten this up. And what I want you to do is we're going to even out our seam allowance to this seam allowance. And what I want you to do is bring that zipper, just like when we did the other bag, we're going to bring the zipper, the middle of the zipper, to our seam allowance here. So we're going to match those together. And clips will work better with this. So I'm going to go ahead and match my zipper to my seam there. you're gonna get your 2.5 strip, and you're gonna sew it across, one there and one here. Okay, you're gonna go ahead and do that. So I sewed the white strip, the 2.5 strip, to here just to finish it off. And then what are you gonna do? You're gonna go ahead and fold here to here and fold here, and then we're gonna do a seam there. Okay, I already did the other side, but I'm gonna go ahead and sew this one quickly. So just make sure you fold it. I'm gonna put with little clips, and I'm gonna go ahead, oops, and sew this. Okay, just fold it and okay, you can, if you want a nicer finish, you can definitely finish this by hand. I'm just gonna sew it on the machine. But this also will help the bag. If you remember, we did the other bag that we did the other day, you end up doing something like this. It's just the corners that we're going to change to make it into that purse that you saw. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished my edges, both edges, and this is where now we're going to change, we're going to do our corners. So on these other bags that I've done before, something like this, we've done straight sides, but this one is slightly different. We would have been cutting it here and doing the corner here, but this one is going to be done slightly different. So what we're going to do is to create the bottom the way I did the purse, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do this. So I'm going to open this part up like this almost, and what I want to do, I want to create an angle like this. You see that? So I want to create like a triangle, just like this. Alright? So I want to center this. I want to make sure they are exactly the same. So I'm going to go here, make sure my triangle is exactly on. So they should be, evenly here. Like that. You see, I have my zipper in the middle going down kind of the seam here, and so I have a triangle like this in one of the sides, and we're going to do the same to this side here. After you've done this part here, what I want you to do, you're going to get a ruler, okay, and from the zipper here, from this zipper here, I'm gonna mark about 2 inches. So I'm gonna put my ruler here. Let's see if you can see it really well. So 2 inches. So I have from the zipper here to the edge here. You see, I have 2 inches from here to here. So if I go higher, it will not be 2 inches, right, to the corner, but I want just 2 inches on my bag because I want the height that I had there. So I'm gonna go here, put that straight and mark 2 inches. It's right here. I'm using a chalk marker because I don't think my other fabric markers will work very well. I hope I can see this. So you see it's right here marked. And then on the bottom here, and this is going to be the bottom of my bag, this part down here, it's the bottom of my bag. So what I want to do, I'm going to go here from the tip here that I have here, this tip right here to here. I'm going to mark 5 inches from the tip to here about, so I want 5 inches. So you see from there to there, 5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead from that 2 inches that I have there and the 5 inches that I have there, I'm going to draw a line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead from there to there, and I'm going to draw a line. Let's see, make sure I have it correctly. I hope you can see it. I don't know if you can see the line. It's right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a clip here because I don't want my fabric to move. And I'm going to put another one here. So now I need to do the same thing to this corner here. Right? So I need to do exactly the same thing that I did to here. I need to do to this side. So I need to go the 2 inches from here in. Let's see, 2 inches. From there to there, it's about there. And then from the tip down, I'm gonna mark 5. And I can go ahead and mark my line from 2 to 5. Okay, so another thing I can do, I can bring this one down, and now I can check if they are exactly on the same. So if I put my tips together here, over here, okay, I put these tips right together. Okay, I can definitely check here where my line is. So I have one here and I have one here. I can check if they match. And I can see the other one that I have here and the other one that I had here. I think they look okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 more pins here and here. So what I want you to do now is go and sew on that line like that, on that line like that. And now we're going to do the same to this side. So this side here, we're going to do exactly the same thing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and measure my other 2 sides and sew it, and I'll show you what it looks like. So I went ahead and sew all my lines here. That one there, the lines that I've made. This one here. And before you trim it, before you cut this up to do the binding like here, first I want to say that the binding should be folded the opposite way to the zipper. See my zipper here, and I fold this way. So when I sew it, I'm sewing it down like that. But before you do that, what I want you to do, I want you to measure between the zipper and your seam. Make sure you have the same distance. So I have about 2.5 there. But what I want to do before I actually trim it, I'm going to turn it to the right side. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open my bag. And before I trim these corners, I'm going to bring it to the right side and have a look. Make sure I have everything correct, because at this point I can still make adjustments. I can sew that and adjust a little bit. And after I cut it, it will be a lot harder to adjust. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn it to this side here, to the right side, so we can start seeing the bag. And as you see, start to form the shape. So I'm going to bring it all out like this. And it so far looks pretty good. But what I want to go here, I want to go here and I want to check. See, I want to check from here to here what I have there. So I have about 2.5 and 2.5, because otherwise I can adjust a little bit on the inside, right? So I have 2.5 and 2.5. So my corners seem pretty good. So now I can go ahead and trim those other pieces that we have it to the side. So In this case I use a double zipper, but you don't have to. You can definitely use just one. I decided to use a double so I can have it to the middle here. And here's my pockets. So I'm gonna go ahead now, turn it to the other side. I'm gonna trim it, and I will be adding maybe some a little sign here and a couple little bit rivets here just for style, a couple rivets here, but other than that I think it's pretty good. There's the pockets, and so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to the other side, and I can go ahead and cut my corners because I think here I'm good. I'm just gonna double check. I have 6 and I have 6 from there to there, and yeah, so my sizes are pretty good, so I measure everything so I can go ahead and trim these corners. Alright, so turn this back in. I can close this because it will be slightly easier, but doesn't have to, but since I can, I will. So, and now I'm gonna go ahead, fold it this way again, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut now these corners because I know they're good. So I'm gonna leave it about, I would say, 1/4 of an inch type of thing, a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. Alright, so that's the side of my bag, and the other side. Okay, so then you're gonna get your 2.5 inch strips, and we're gonna go ahead and finish it off. So you're gonna cut slightly bigger. Okay, you're gonna go ahead and sew it. I'm just gonna do one and show you finish, and then you can do all the other ones. Just give me a minute. Best way is putting your piece in the back and sew it here and follow the seam that you already have there, so you don't have any extra seams and you don't end up messing up the measurements that you had on the inside. So now to finish this, you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna fold and fold and fold and do the same thing here. Gonna fold that there. If you find 2.5 is too much for you, you can definitely cut it slightly smaller. I did 2.5, but you could probably do 2.25, probably would be enough fabric. And you're gonna finish it either by hand or by machine. You're gonna do that one there, the other one here, this one here, and that one there, and your bag will be finished. I will not do it right now because I don't want to make the video any longer, so I'm just gonna turn it to the right side for now. I'll finish it a little later off camera, so the rest of my pieces. For now I'm just gonna turn it out and show what's the bag look like done. So as you see, our bag is done, and I had mentioned that we were going to tell you the winner of the Sewers Club box, and again we will be putting a link in the bottom that you can always check them out and see what kind of Sewers box they're all about. You can check their website, and the winner that I have for the last video, the box that I showed in the last video, is Christine Whittaker. I will try to message her, and then if not, if she doesn't answer back, then we'll pick another winner on the next video. Well, happy sewing everyone. We'll see you next time.